In your book, Elie, you argue that an individual right to self-defense with a gun was not provided by the Second Amendment, but by the conservative Supreme Court's interpretation of the Second Amendment in its Heller decision. You also say, quote, there was an original purpose to the Second Amendment, but it wasn't to keep people safe. It was to preserve white supremacy and slavery. Briefly, Elie, how do we know that to be the case for sure?
Yeah, so I'm coming up with that just because I'm reading Patrick Henry and George Mason, who was then governor of Virginia at the founding of the country. This is not my words. This is what those white guys said when they were debating the Second Amendment. They said that they needed a Second Amendment because they needed the armed, disciplined, that was their word, militia to put down slave revolts. And they were worried that under the original Constitution, the federal government had all of the power to raise the militia, right? The Southerners needed the militias to put down slave revolts because, you know, Mendy, it's a little bit difficult to hold people in bondage against their will. So you needed some military superiority, and the Second Amendment was there to make sure that the states had the power to raise the militia on their own. So Virginia could raise its own militia to put down slave revolts in Virginia without having to ask Connecticut or Massachusetts whether or not they agreed with that. That's why it's there. That's why the white folks said it was there. Fast forward to 2008, and Antonin Scalia just makes up an entirely different Second Amendment right out of thin air.
All right, so first of all, let's make sure we agree on those dates. The first enslaved African arrived in Jamestown in 1619, right? Okay, cool. The Second Amendment was ratified in 1791. So you are trying to tell me that the framers waited 100 and some years to preserve white supremacy. 100 and some years to preserve white supremacy with the Second Amendment. Really, bro? These people are coming down hard on the Second Amendment. I mean, what we learned in school was that the Second Amendment was included so that the colonists can protect themselves from King George and the British. Isn't that what we learned in school? So this is new history. This is something we never heard before. The Second Amendment was a way for white supremacists to put down slave votes. What? Please educate me. Somebody let me know if you agree with this guy or what I just said. Like, really? What is this? I thought the reason we have the Second Amendment is so that something like what's happening in Ukraine with Russia invading Ukraine and the Ukrainian citizen having no ways to defend themselves can never happen here in the United States of America. Because the rest of the world knows the United States has two armies. There's the US Army and then there's the citizen. Yeah, so don't play with the United States. What is this guy saying? Yo, let me know what you think about this, bro. This is crazy. God bless you. Wow.